Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another three-person episode of the Moving Forward podcast. I'm again joined by Sean Samples and Mike Gottschalk. Today, we're going to be doing a quick couple segments on NFL, NCAA, and some couple things for the Olympics, but we'll be finishing with that mock draft that we kept talking about. We decided as a group that 30 picks would be way too long. So actually, we're going to do the lottery picks, and then we are going to do one pick from each of us think is intriguing outside of the draft. So that should be fun later on. But first, we will start with the NFL. Today, Aaron Rodgers reported to the Green Bay Packers. It looks like it's going to be his final year with the Packers, but it sucks having to watch him kill us for one more year.
Yeah, I mean, it was just an overall bad experience. That's just that picture in general just bummed me out. So coy. You could just see it in his face. He's smirking. He's got the office shirt on. Thinks he's super funny. Like, nothing about that made me happy. Ruined my day a little bit, but yeah, it's just at least it's one more year. Let's hope.
He pulled up to the facility like he never, like nothing was ever wrong. It was all good. Another day in the office for him. That office shirt really made me mad too. I don't know why. He just looked like he looked like he was gonna go play like hacky sack in the middle of Lambeau Field.
My question is actually about the situation. Did we ever figure out what he was even mad about? Did we know that yet?
I just think he's tired of losing in the NFC Championship over and over and over again. Like, I think it's just gotten to him, and now he's slowly turning into a hippie. I think Danica Patrick broke his heart, and I don't think he'll ever fully recover.
We just got another supermodel wife or girlfriend now.
Yeah,
They're engaged, right?
They were in Hawaii playing like the ukulele together for like 2 months.
Never the same. He'll never be the same. She had the power of crystals, and that made him an MVP. And now that she's gone, he's broken.
Once you lose a NASCAR driver,
yeah.
No, go
because
ahead,
I know my list of like potential like long-term partners would be NASCAR driver, supermodel,
yes.
billionaire woman, and then a girl with some really defined elbows. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I don't see anything wrong with that list.
Me neither.
No.
Yeah. Good elbows are important.
Yeah, but basically this means that Devontae Adams is also coming back for one more season. So anybody who is a sucker and bet either like the Vikings or the Bears to win this division is going to get screwed, because like they took the lines for the Packers off for like a couple of days, and now they're a heavy favorite to win the NFC North, and they're going to kill everybody for one last year. And I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl or anything, but it's going to suck to watch.
Should have jumped on that line when they boosted their odds. I didn't even think about that because I thought it was too good to be true, of course. I didn't think he'd pull a fast one and come back, but yeah, just bad. I'm sad. I hate him.
The guy sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It's an anti-Aaron Rodgers podcast.
This is a huge anti-Aaron Rodgers podcast. Unless he would have decided to leave this year, then I would have been the happiest for him in the entire world. I would have been like, you know what, Aaron, you deserve to be happy. You can take your 2012 office shirt and live in your happy little world somewhere. And I would have been happy. He would have been perfect out in Denver. Never would have heard about him, except for when they make it to the AFC Championship and probably win the whole thing. But I wouldn't care if the Broncos win.
I would think
still him though.
Yeah, my ideal location for Aaron Rodgers is a raft in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah,
just him out there.
I just want him to just live the movie The Life of Pi. That's just what I want Aaron Rodgers to be doing.
Yeah, except I want the tiger to eat him.
I think I see him more like on a ranch in Montana. He's just tending to his cattle, just alone out there with his thoughts, like writing a book, like very Matthew McConaughey-esque. It seems like that's his role model or something like that.
Yeah, but speaking of Matthew McConaughey, we are talking about Texas and how Texas and Oklahoma are now transitioning. They want to be part of the SEC. They applied to be a part of the SEC in 2025. Did you guys hear that transition?
I was just going to comment.
Knock that out of the park.
God, that was good.
God damn. That's what 4 years.
You jumped on it.
That what happens for 4 years of education at Michigan State is you get solid transitions from one topic to another.
That is why people should subscribe for that transition alone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think we just end the
What were we talking
episode.
about? Yeah.
And that has been it for Moving Forward podcast.
All right. Now, basically, Oklahoma and Texas for the next, I think, 4 seasons, they'll be part of the Big 12, but they're applying to be part of the SEC. I don't see any way that they get declined. I think that brings in so much money for the SEC. And yeah, I think the Big 12, as we know it, is going to slowly fall apart.
Yeah, but I'm really excited. I found a graphic, or it was floating all over Twitter, but it really excited me actually because basically with the Big 12, like with Texas, Oklahoma leaving, it's over for the Big 12. They're not going to be a conference anymore because that was just their 2 main money makers. So everyone's saying that's going to turn into a 4 conference, like a Power 4 instead of a Power 5. And what they have right now, I have a little graphic, but so for the Big 10, they got Kansas and Iowa State heading over the Big 10. And then that's their own little division. And then we got the rest of the normal Big 10. And then we obviously have the new SEC. And then it's just going to be the Pac-12, which is going to add Texas Tech, Baylor, Kansas State, and then Oklahoma State. And then the ACC is going to add like West Virginia and Notre Dame or something like that. Like, I don't know. It's a cool little graphic. I like the way it all played out. And I'd be really excited to see Kansas in the Big Ten personally for basketball related reasons.
Yeah, that would be, my God.
And the occasional year that Iowa State is really, really good. They had that run when Fred Hoiberg was their coach where they were just a really, really good basketball school. And I believe a couple of years ago, they were really good at football too. So the adding of Kansas and Iowa State would be a huge upgrade for the Big Ten. It would be nothing like the Maryland Rutgers situation, but still, I just think about how loaded that SEC would be, especially in football. And that'd be so fun to watch. There would be no stinker games. Plus, I think this might eliminate the possibility of like Alabama playing like Texas Northern in the 12th week of the season, because you're going to have to play more conference games with more teams in the conference too.
No, that's what I was thinking too. I mean, they have every league's going to have 16 teams. That's in like this mock draft. But that's going to like eliminate all those crazy crap games we get in the first 2 weeks. It's basically just going to be all conference games with good teams, good competition. I think it'd be really good for the sport, honestly. I hope they make this change.
I think I hope Texas fans like finishing like 6th in the SEC because like they haven't won the Big 12 since 2009. I don't know. They're like delusional. They're gonna get their ass beat up and down for years. Oklahoma's been good, but I don't know. Texas, they're too big for their britches right now, I think.
I honestly think the SEC might help them though, because we've kind of seen it with Texas A&M the last couple of years. They've gotten better as a football program. They're kind of starting to compete with Alabama and LSU and Georgia and all those teams just because they made that switch to the SEC. Could we see the same thing with Texas? I don't know, but I mean, it's some sort of positive they can think about because, yeah, like you said, other than that, they've been just trash for years.
I think it could help Oklahoma. Instead of them allowing teams to score 50 on them, maybe they only score 40. So that could be a boost. But I was listening and I was seeing everything. Like Oklahoma plays really, really good offense. So like their games against like Ole Miss or Mississippi State that are absolutely air raid games are going to be electric. It's going to be like classic Big 12 football. But then games that they play against like Auburn or LSU or Alabama, they're going to struggle to stop them on defense. And I think that's going to be the same thing with Texas. I think it's going to be definitely a learning curve for those programs when they initially get in. I think basketball will be a bit easier, obviously. Like those are the 2 main sports of college athletics, but football is going to be a learning curve for those teams. And I think they're really going to struggle out of the gate. So it's going to be tough to see, but I'm really excited for it. It's just going to take a while until we actually see what goes on. All right, moving forward, I don't have as good as a transition this time, but we are going to talk about the Olympics. The Olympics is going on, and I don't know about you guys, but I just think they've done a really poor job, like saying exactly when things are on TV. Like I have interest in like the swimming and everything, and I catch the basketball games occasionally, but they're on at really, really weird times in the day. So it's like I want to watch the swimming or stuff like that, or I want to watch the volleyball, but like you turn it on, it's just like the most random thing. Like I turned it on last night and it was like ping pong, and it's like as cool as ping pong could be, like I'll maybe watch it for 5 minutes. Like I only see like cool stuff from like Twitter clips, and then the Olympics doesn't want you to post any of the clips on Twitter. They take it down unless it's the Olympics website or their Twitter page posting it. So I think this Olympic has kind of been like ass, to be honest.
I'm in the same boat. That was gonna be my take too. Like I've watched honestly 0 Olympics. I haven't caught one
either.
thing because I don't know what's gonna be on. And like you said, I haven't seen clips on Twitter because they're taking everything down. They're demonetizing or copywriting all these videos. Just sucks.
Yeah, it does. And like I'm on the West Coast too, so like the time change is even worse. The basketball game when they played the US game when they played France was on it started at 5 a.m. here. And I'm not gonna wake up at 5 a.m. to see the US shit a brick against France. Like I have not seen a clip. Yeah, I haven't seen a single game, a single event. Stuff. It's weird. It's like the idea of the Olympics is just going on.
Mhm.
Yeah, on Saturday night when they first were playing against France, I might have gone a little too hard, and I set an alarm for 8 a.m. to wake up to watch the first quarter of the USA France game because I bet over 44 points, and my alarm just started going off at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I was just like, nope, hit
Why?
ignore, and then I woke up at maybe 11 and I was like, oh, they lost and they didn't hit the first quarter over. Like my brain for the NBA is tricking me because I'm like 44 points in a quarter. They play 10-minute quarters. This should still be easy, and it's not even close. I think they scored like 36. Not
I
even
was gonna
close.
ask, what was the motivation for first half over in the first round group play Olympic game? What was the thought process there?
I have first of all, I have an addiction. Second of all, it's the NBA brain. It's tricking me. Like 44 points should be easy. Yeah. Like I saw France's roster. I'm like, this is made up of mostly NBA players. They'll play an NBA style of basketball. Obviously, the entire USA team's all NBA players. Like they'll play a little bit faster. They'll play a little bit more loose, but no, not even close. Not even close.
I think that's actually like the main problem with the USA team right now. They're playing it like it's NBA games, and the FIBA is just a whole different like game. Like you can really apparent too when you're watching it. They're trying to draw fouls. They look soft. I don't know. They blew a 14-point lead or whatever it was in the fourth quarter. They should have won the game no matter what the rules were. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the
It's
problem
not
is.
like they have bums on the team either. I don't get it.
Not one bit.
No. Except for JaVale McGee. He's a bum.
Okay,
I'm still mad about that.
So quick transition. I want to get into the one thing that we have seen that's really, really cool. So my thing is I randomly saw a clip of like South Korea doing archery, and they needed like all these bullseyes in a row, and they hit like 5 bullseyes in a row, and then he only needed 9 points. He hit 10. And then these South Korean dudes, they're all like pretty chubby, just like jumping on each other and hugging each other, like celebrating because they won a gold medal, meaning that they don't have to serve in this year's like military. So they don't have to join the military this year. So they were double excited, gold medal, and they don't have to do the 2 years of service for South Korean military. It was sweet. It was awesome.
Wow. What stakes on that event for them? My God.
Yeah, especially in a country that could go to war at any second with North Korea.
I'm sure it started at like 3 a.m. too, so nobody could see it live.
No.
That would have been a cool storyline to know too. Like I would have tuned in.
Yeah.
Watch 3 men fight for their literal lives playing doing archery.
That's I had no idea that even happened.
No, it was electric. Like I think one guy was literally crying at the end, and I couldn't tell. It was just so many things like on these guys' shoulders, and they're like, we just shot a bow and arrow really, really well, and that's going to stop us from serving 2 years in the South Korean military.
That's great. You know what? Actually, that's a perfect segue into a take I had, or a thought. Actually, I was just thinking the Olympics would be a perfect time to solve like countries' conflicts and wars. You know what I'm saying? Like instead of actually going to war, they just compete in the Olympics against each other. Super deep thought on that one. I don't know why. It was just to me.
Bro.
Instead of just going to war. That wasn't that line of thought, but imagine the stakes on those games. Like here's Iraq versus the US. Winner wins the Iraq war, wins Desert Storm.
Do they
like tune in for that?
Do they sit
Everyone
down?
Would tune in for that.
Do they sit down and it's like a decathlon where they get to like draft like 10 sports that they think that they're better at? Because that'd be even better. Like there's a draft and it's like Pakistan versus India. The conflict's been going on for forever. They're like, India's like, we think we're better at archery. Pakistan's with our number 1 pick, we take rifling or something like that. And they just go back and forth. And then it's just a decathlon, like the end of Billy Madison, where they're basically competing for the whole thing. Winner just takes over.
Wait. Hear me out. I got one. hear me out. So what if after 9/11, and hear me out here.
All right.
What if
Strong start.
George Bush and Osama bin Laden just like played checkers? And that was it.
That's it right there. That's my line of thinking. I was thinking each country nominates like one champion, like a gladiator of sorts. Like U.S. would nominate our best athlete, and then Afghanistan would nominate whoever they could wrangle up, and then we just go like every single Olympic sport, just like a 20-day. I don't even know if it'd be a 20-day, just like a 26 level event. Our one athlete's going against each other. That just solves our conflict.
You throw like DK Metcalf out there against like some Afghanistani villager.
That's what I'm saying. We'd solve everything pretty quickly. And then we're like, hey, you can't argue with the results. We agreed to it. We won. It's over. And then we just occupy Afghanistan.
Yeah, that takes me back to the ideas like how many Olympic sports there are. Like, do you think you could take on like a professional athlete in every single Olympic sport? You think you could beat them at least like one thing? Like just going down the line of so many things. You don't think you could beat like Joel Embiid at table tennis? Maybe.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, just like a random thing.
Yeah, I think I could like beat a ping pong player in a fist fight.
That's a good one too.
Yeah.
Boxing. Yeah.
I could beat a judo player in basketball. They don't know what they're doing. They're usually kicking. Get some hard fouls on me, but beat them. That's an interesting one.
Yeah. It's just an idea. I thought we were just doing high ideas now. I thought that's what this just turned into.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
At this point, it's just turned into that.
Mike, do you have a high idea now that we're sitting here talking about it?
No, I'm stone cold sober, but I like where you guys are going with it.
Okay.
I think this kind of just speaks to our overall point that Olympics have sucked and there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, except for making up hypotheticals where two countries solve their conflicts through checkers.
I think that's a great idea. I will stand on that take.
You know what?
That's one really good thing that was coming out of the Olympics. You know how usually like they every Olympics that happens, there's like huge STD outbreaks in Olympic Village.
Yeah.
They solved that by giving them those like cement beds.
Underrated.
That can't support two people.
Yeah.
It like falls.
Yeah.
That's
so good for them
smart.
on that. Yeah.
Whatever Japanese like diplomat thought of that needs a raise.
Yeah.
I would never have thought cardboard. I saw a TikTok too. One of the athletes was like testing it out. It's pretty sturdy, but as soon as you get two people on it, just breaks. Like it's wizardry. I don't know how they did it. But
I just feel like these are world-class athletes. If we want to let them just go out there and like slang it around for like a month, I'm fine with it. I really have if they just want to create a bunch of superhumans that are going to be really good at sports in like 20 years, like I'm cool with it. I think it's awesome.
Make that
that might even solve some world problems. What if a Pakistan curler falls in love with an Indian basketball player then they make beautiful love and then that child that's
a Shakespearean play right there.
It joins them together, the country, in just beautiful harmony.
God, we're solving world peace right now. This is beautiful.
Well, since we're solving world peace, let's go and transition to our segment of the mock draft. This is getting way out of hand. I'm going to cut us off there. We're going to move into the mock draft portion of this podcast. So I will be starting off. I am going to do the very first pick. We're going to alternate picks down the line. I believe I'm going first, then Sean second, then Mike third, and then I'll go fourth. Kind of like that over and over again. I have the Detroit Pistons. I think this pick is relatively easy. This is what I've been saying the whole time. I'm taking Cade Cunningham. I think that he's a very versatile player. I think he's one of very few players in this draft that makes every single player around him better. And I feel like that's a very underrated thing that a basketball player can bring to the table. There are a lot of players out there who are really, really good and they can win you games, but there's not a lot of them that make other players better as well. I feel like Cade does that. If anybody watched the Big 12 tournament / the NCAA tournament, I think that he brings a clutch aspect to the game. I think he always makes the right play, even if he's not the one taking the shot. I think he's making the right play. I think he's versatile, can guard 3 to 4 positions depending on what the 4 size is. So I really like Cade. I think he brings a lot of upside to this Pistons team. I think he goes along well with Killian Hayes and this young core. So with the first overall pick, I'm taking Cade Cunningham out of Oklahoma State.
Yeah, there's nothing really to argue with there. It's the right pick. He's only one of the few 3-level scorers in the draft, and yeah, he just fits perfectly with the Pistons. I don't know how this isn't the take, and frankly, it's just concerning how much buzz there has been about this not being the pick. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that's the correct selection.
Yep, I got nothing else. If they don't draft Cade, I'm gonna be super pissed.
That would be a heck of a podcast if they don't. So just stay tuned on that.
Yeah. So if they
take a lot of crying.
Yeah.
Oh.
Go ahead, Sean.
Second pick. All right. With the second pick, I'll be selecting Evan Mobley. There's been a lot of buzz. I mean, I don't know if this will be the correct take because there's been a ton of buzz about Jalen Green going to the Rockets, but I don't really understand why. Mobley has elite defensive ability. He's able to cover the inside and the outside and the perimeter, which is something we've seen from the past NBA Finals. It's an extremely rare asset and an extremely big advantage for a team. Like Giannis being able to cover CP3 on that pick and roll just kind of debilitated the whole Phoenix offense. So he could be a defender like that. And I think he has a lot of potential in the offensive game. I mean, he's a young prospect. He wasn't outstanding on offense, but he definitely showed ability. And yeah, I just think the way the NBA is trending, I think he'd be the perfect fit for this rebuilding Rockets team as well. They can build around him. He's going to make players better too. He's a good passer. And yeah, I think he's just overall the best prospect in this position.
Yeah, I wanted him to fall to me at the Cavs, so I'm a little bummed. But yeah, he'd be a good fit on the Rockets. He's a generational athlete. It looks like he's going to be really good. I think that's a good pick too.
Yeah, I really
the
like
thing
it.
Is people are. I'm sorry. Go
ahead. I'll go real quick. I really like it. I think Jalen Green works well in this position too, but I think Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. do a lot of things very similar. And if you truly believe in Kevin Porter Jr. moving forward, which I do, I think that Mobley is the right selection here. I think he can work next to Christian Wood. I'm not 100% sure how that fit's going to work. I think they do a lot of things very similarly. They're both big men who can't really guard like big, strong fives. So that part will have to be addressed, but Mobley does have elite shot blocking ability that Christian Wood does not have. He also can bring the ball up the floor and push it. He's kind of like Giannis in that way, where he's not as fluid as Giannis, but he can push the ball and he can make the right play. So I think Mobley is the right choice here. I do like Green. I'm just not as huge as a fit. I'm just not as huge on the fit for Green going to the Rockets as I am as Green going to the Cavaliers, actually.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. He can play alongside Christian Wood. And if you're not drafting a generational player like this, just because you have Christian Wood, it doesn't really make sense. Like, Christian Wood's a fine player. He's a solid player. But I can't pass up on a talent like Evan Mobley just because I have this mediocre mid-level star on my team. So, yeah, I don't really see the argument by that. And it was a good comparison. Jalen Green versus KPG. I do think they play similar as well.
Mike, the third pick to you in the Cavaliers.
Jalen Green. It's kind of he's the third guy. If it's not Jalen Green that goes second, he's going to go third. What can you really say about him? He's a great scorer. He said he wants to be first team all defense in his first year. So, I mean, it just goes to show like he's committed to getting better. And I mean, the Cavs have like Colin Sexton, but it's kind of the same thing with Christian Wood. Like, if you don't pass up on a player like Jalen Green just because you have Colin Sexton. I mean, the Cavs could, I think, maybe potentially trade out of here, but I think if they do with it, they have to go with Jalen Green.
I say we put that caveat too, and just a side note, we're doing this without the trade possibilities because there has been a lot of trade buzz, so we're not putting the trades in there. I really think the draft order is going to shake up, which will be interesting, but yeah, I do agree with that pick.
I think that any team, quick sidebar, I think any team that trades out of the top 4 in this draft, unless they get something absolutely amazing, I think they're really, really stupid, to be 100% honest with you. I think it's really, really dumb. I think Jalen Green's a great fit on the Cavaliers. I think they need a guy who is an absolute monster scorer, because if you bring back Jarrett Allen, he's not a go-to scorer. Kevin Love's not what he used to be. Isaac Okoro gives you good defense, and Garland can get you a bucket, but he's not a guy to finish games. Like, Sexton had a really couple of nice games. Like I remember his game against the Nets last year when he absolutely tore them for, I think, 40 points or something like that. But he's super inconsistent. For a guy who I was super huge on his defense heading into the draft, he's very undersized for a 2 guard position. And to be honest, I don't think they're going to move forward with him. If they do take Jalen Green and not Evan Mobley with this 3rd pick, I think you could see Sexton out the door before the season even starts.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there's a lot of buzz alongside Colin Sexton being traded because they're going to draft a guy like Jalen Green or sleeper, maybe Jalen Suggs. You never know what their mind's at. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see that play out on draft night.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of Jalen Suggs, that's who I'll be taking with the 4th overall pick for the Raptors. Maybe one of the best fits, I think, moving forward in this draft, maybe even in the top 3. I think this team really, really needs a point guard. I think they tried Fred VanVleet a lot of the times at point guard this season, Gary Trent at the 2, Anunoby at the 3, that kind of thing. They tried that a lot, and Fred VanVleet kind of bogs down the offense. I think he's a great scorer. I don't know how good he's been a facilitator because he hasn't had to do it next to Kyle Lowry for so long. I think they're going to let Kyle Lowry go, place in Jalen Suggs, where he's immediately going to bring a new spark. He's a great defender. He has great athleticism. He's a pretty decent shooter. I think he can improve a little bit, and he absolutely just attacks the rim, and he's going to do whatever it takes to win. And that's what I absolutely love, because I think this Raptors team could turn it around from the 4th overall pick to possibly making the play-in next year, depending on what they do. So I really like Jalen Suggs in this spot. I think it's the right pick. I wouldn't overthink it at all. Jalen Suggs is definitely the 4th guy out of these 4 that we were talking about. Like I can see any of the top 3 kind of shifting, but Jalen Suggs is a definite 4, but it's a really good player to get for you not projecting to be in the top 4 and then getting lucky with the ping pong balls this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think he just has a great feel for the game. He's been successful in any level he's been at. And any player like that, I think, is an asset to your team. And coupled with his elite athleticism, I think he's going to fit seamlessly wherever he goes. I think he'd be just a good player on any team, no matter what the fit is or whatever. So, yeah, I think that's the only pick you can make right here.
Yep, me too. I think these top 4 are kind of a little chalky. It's just going to switch up maybe with 2 and 3, but I think Suggs is going to go 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is where I think we'll finally see the draft order starts to switch up. Sean, who are you taking with the 5th overall pick?
Okay, I'm excited about this one. So I looked over a lot today, and all signs are pointing towards Scottie Barnes being the pick in this spot. But my question is, why would Orlando pick another big guard or big small forward, power forward that cannot shoot? They've done it with Jonathan Isaac, Mo Bamba, Aaron Gordon in the past. They traded him away. They have a bunch of guys like this already. Like, what makes this different? And I think the only pick here should be James Bouknight. I think he has unique tools. He's an excellent defensive prospect, and he can benefit from, and Orlando can benefit from talent like this, a shooting guard that's going to be able to create his own shot. His jumper's raw, but it doesn't look bad. Like, if you watch him play, it looks like he has a good jumper. It's not like it's broke or anything. I think that's only going to improve. And he had only a 1-year sample size at UConn. So I think he's a very intriguing athlete prospect, and Orlando needs that injection of life. I feel like they draft the same guy every year, and Scottie Barnes fits right in with that prototypical Magic draft. So I would go with James Bouknight here if I was the Magic.
I like that. I think, yeah, Bouknight's really good. I think the Magic just have they don't have a ton of shooting, so that would be my concern with Bouknight. He definitely could get better. But yeah, if they draft Scottie Barnes, my God, it's the same pick like 6 years in a row.
Exactly, it's the same pick. I mean, I don't know when they're gonna learn, and they just keep whiffing on these guys too. Like, none of them have even hit. It'd be different if one of their tall draft picks have turned out to be a good player. They're all not turning out to be good, so it doesn't make any sense to keep banging your head against the wall drafting the same type of dude.
Yeah, I 100% understand the James Bouknight love. It's just the thing is the inconsistent 3-point shooting. I guess it's looked a lot better in a lot of the workouts he's done from what I've been reading. So that's an upside. You have a lot of guards on that team. You have Cole Anthony, you have Markelle Fultz, And I guess you could try something with RJ Hampton, but I don't think he's really the future there. So I do like a shooting guard in that position for them. I think Chuma Okeke will probably be their power forward next year, sliding Jonathan Isaac over to the 3. So if you plan on starting Chuma Okeke, who I think is a serviceable NBA player, I think that James Bouknight is a good player there. It's not too much of a reach. Once you get to that 5, like we said, the top 4 is really solid. Once you get to that 5 range, if you want to take somebody that you really, really like, go for it. You have another pick at 8. There's a chance that a Scottie Barnes or a Jonathan Kuminga also fall to you there. And you can also go around and get another player like that then. So the way the draft shakes out at 5, you really love somebody, go take them. And then if somebody happens to fall to you that you also like that 5 at 8, then that's where you can feel a little bit better about taking them there.
That's what I was thinking too. Like, take the big prospect that has the highest upside here, and you still have the 8th pick to draft your shooter if you need one. There's a lot of 3-and-D guys in that area that can be drafted. So I don't know why you're going to reach for Scottie Barnes here, and then on the back end you can still get what you need. I don't know. I feel like the Magic are going to screw it up because they always screw it up. So hopefully they take someone. I don't really care. It's the Magic. So.
All right, Mike, transitioning over to you. You have the Thunder with the 6th pick in this draft.
All right, Thunder. I'm going with Jonathan Kuminga. He can be anywhere from, like I've seen him at 5 in some mocks to like 9, 10-ish. But I think like the Thunder, they're so far away from being good that they can afford to like take a swing on a guy who's pretty raw, but who also has like a ton of potential and upside. They don't really they need everything. So they don't really need to draft for fit here. But yeah, I'm going with Kuminga.
Kuminga has a lot of upside. He could be really, really good. I think his ceiling is super, super high. I think when I remember watching when the G League Ignite first started, it was the very first game of their G League season in the bubble. And I remember tuning in and seeing Jonathan Kuminga play. And I was like, he's better than Jalen Green. Like, this guy is absolutely insane. He got hurt in that season. And then once he came back, he wasn't as good, but he's a 6'7", probably small forward / maybe power forward with a 7'2" wingspan. Absolutely insane. He's been comped to be like a Sean Marion type player. If his 3-pointer can come along a little bit more, the dude can jump out of the gym. The dude plays great defense. I think he's a great pick with the 6th pick. I think he gives you more of an upside than a Scottie Barnes. I think Scottie Barnes might be, he's possible to be a really good player in the NBA for a long time, but I think Kuminga has the chance to be a borderline all-star if everything goes really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, with the upside and where Thunder at in their organization, this would be a good pick for them. I actually think this is going to be their pick tomorrow night because I think he's going to fall to them no matter what. And, well, in our situation, though, if Scottie Barnes is there, I think they would have to take them, in my opinion. I just think Scottie – I mean, I just shit on him a little bit before, but I do think he's a very good prospect nonetheless. And with the position Thunder in, when they need everything, it wouldn't hurt to have a guy with that sort of upside. But yeah, I think either or would be a good pick for the Thunder.
Yeah, speaking of Scottie Barnes, I didn't expect either Jonathan Kuminga or Scottie Barnes to be here. So basically I'm adapting like the draft will be. So I'm adapting. I'm the Warriors at 7. I see Scottie Barnes is still there. I think they need a lot. I'm going to take Scottie Barnes. Like, I can't believe he fell to me at 7. Like, I absolutely love that. I think he's the 5th best player in this draft. I think he's better than Kuminga right now. And I think if he can develop a little bit more, he's even better. I think he plays like Draymond. So who is better to teach him the Draymond way than Draymond Green? I think he can come in right away and contribute to this team. He's going to be a great defender. And what better culture to have Scottie Barnes under? Like, the downside about Scottie Barnes is he's going to be on crappy teams his first couple of years, the Magic or the Thunder. He's going to immediately come in and play for the Warriors and be in an absolutely amazing culture. I absolutely love that. If I'm the Warriors and Scottie Barnes falls to me at 7, like, I'm sending in my draft card in the first 5 seconds. Scottie Barnes, Florida State, book it.
Yep, I would too.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. I think Bob Myers would be just full pants 10 if he saw Scottie Barnes fall to him. Because like you said, they need a player like him. They need someone off the bench that can get that spark. That was their biggest issue last year. And defense was really awful. So, yeah, that's the obvious pick.
Yeah, and at the Warriors position, I thought here for a second, maybe do I want to reach on one of these guards who I'm not 100% certain about, or do I reach on one of these forwards that I'm not 100% certain about? Like, looking at it, like, do I want to jump up and take Franz Wagner too soon? Do I want to jump up and take Jalen Johnson too soon, or anybody like that? And I'm like, if some of these teams are overthinking it, or they really like a pick, like I really like your pick with the Magic at 5, but then that leaves me with either Kuminga or Barnes at 7. I'm definitely staying there and taking 7, because there's been a lot of rumors about the Warriors trading out of the 7th pick to get a player to win now. But if there's a player like Scottie Barnes on the board, you're not trading that pick.
No.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting how it shakes out in the actual draft. I can see that situation playing out pretty easily, but there has been a lot linked to Orlando. I think that's gonna be the pick. So hopefully for draft parity, that'd be fun to think about. But yeah.
Okay, so I just did the Warriors at 7. Sean actually has both the Magic picks. So Sean, who are you taking coming back around with your 8th overall pick?
All right. Fixing the magic over here. I'm taking Josh Giddey from Australia. I think he's exactly what they need too. Like we said, he's not okay. So here's the problem: not that great of a shooter. Again, we're drafting another non-shooting guy, but I've watched both the Australian and Olympic games, and he's knocking down threes with ease. Like it looks good. So I would bank on him getting better. Shot looks nice, and he's an elite playmaker at 6'8". He averaged 11, 7, and 7 in the Australian League, which is pretty much the second best professional basketball league. I don't know if I'm talking out of pocket right now, but I'm pretty sure it's one. Yeah, it's up there. But with the shooting problems, that's the only knock on him. I read up on him a lot today, and I kind of fell in love with him. I watched some tape. That's his only knock, and that's why he's not going higher. He can do anything else on the court. He defends, he passes well, he rebounds, he has a nose for the ball. And yeah, I think that'd be a dream situation for the Magic, just getting him and Bouknight.
Yeah, his jumper's not it didn't go in Australia very much, but like when I was watching tape, he had decent form, and the playmaking's awesome. I worry that my issue with him, he's like not an amazing athlete. I don't know how well he would ever be able to like defend a perimeter guy, but he is super long. So
he's got wingspan. I mean, that is a big issue, but I think his height's really going to help him, especially when it comes to playmaking and scoring. I think he's going to have a big advantage there. I like him, especially with what's on the board right now. I would take him.
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever you can go out and get a playmaker in the NBA who's going to set up players, like I think this Magic team, the only downside, like Sean's been saying this entire time, is who's he setting up? Like this guy is going to be a guy who's not creating his own like jumper most of the time. He could be getting to the lane, getting a bucket, but he's not going to be creating a jumper. But what are you going to do? Drive to the lane and you're going to kick out and Jonathan Isaac brick? I just think the Magic, although I do think that Josh Giddey is a great pick here, I just think the Magic have way too many problems with not having reliable shooters in the first place.
Yeah, I don't know though. I don't think even if they do get a shooter, they're going to be good. Like they don't really have I don't think they have a ton of people who are even like decent NBA players. So I think you could get away with this pick.
Yeah, I would say just throw anything at the wall and just see if it sticks. I mean, Franz Wagner wouldn't be a bad pick in this spot for them. I think he's a better shooter than him. He does everything Giddey does. Now I look back on him, might have picked Franz, but I'm sticking with Giddey. I trust him. I watched 2 Australian games. I'm a big Giddey guy now.
All right,
let's
move. He's Giddey for Giddey.
Nice.
Let's move on to the 9th pick. Michael, you'll be selecting for the Dumpster Fire Kings. What you'll be doing with the 9th pick. It seems like they've had the 9th pick 25 years in a row.
All right. The Kings. I really like Sengun Alperen, the Turkish guy. Terrible defender, and the Kings are awful on defense. But this guy like has some all-star potential with him. He's not as good as Jokic was at his age, but he's kind of like a Jokic feel to him. Man, I think I'm overthinking it now because the Kings are so bad at defense. But I'm going with him.
Stick with it. I was gonna say this is my pick as well. I did my own little mock today, and yeah, like you said, he's very Jokic-esque, and I think he would play really well with someone smart like Halliburton. I think they're gonna have a really intriguing 2-man game. That'd be fun to watch. And then of course you still got De'Aaron Fox there, and yeah, this could actually be an electric offense if they draft him next year. I don't know what they're gonna do with Bagley. He might bog everything down because that just seems like what he does, but. Yeah, I think if you draft him, naturally Bagley's probably going to be moved out. But yeah, I'm very intrigued by this dude.
Yeah, I think he gives me real like Vucevic vibes from the Magic. Like Vucevic has never been known for, or now on the Bulls, but Vucevic has never been known for his really good defense. Like he's just a solid guy down low and just kind of grabs boards for you. But he's a very versatile offensive player. And I've always said for the longest time that the best thing about Vucevic is he can fit next to any four man because he spreads the floor. He can score down low. Although Sengun cannot shoot the three as well, he's shown signs of him being able to step out a little bit, and I think that will develop it with him moving forward. I just think the Kings have to go somewhere with center because I don't think they're bringing back Rashawn Holmes next season, and I think this might be a little Boogie Cousins 2.0, where it's just going to be a guy who puts up monster stats on a really bad team.
I don't know. I might kind of go ahead, Mike.
I mean, if like De'Aaron Fox gets better and he's more consistent, and like Halliburton's obviously really good, I think they could be. I don't know. They're not going to be good for a couple of years at least. They need like a veteran or something too.
It'd be fun to watch at least. It's like a good league pass team.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't see the Kings going anywhere.
Well, moving on to a trade that actually just happened, the Memphis Grizzlies and the Pelicans swapped the 10th and the 17th pick. The Memphis Grizzlies also got Steven Adams and Eric Bledsoe. A lot of people think Eric Bledsoe will be moving on after this offseason. They're looking for a trade for him. And then Valanciunas also went over to the Pelicans. We'll talk about that trade later on, but for Memphis, I'm really happy that this guy fell because I'm super happy. I think that they need a two. I think they're going to stick with Steven Adams and try him at the center position for a little bit. But with my two, I'm actually going to be taking Moses Moody, shooting guard out of Arkansas. I think he's one of the best pure shooters in the draft and a really good playmaker as well. I think that Dylan Brooks can play the three, and I think they can go small ball. I really like even if they go Moses Moody off the bench, I really like it. I like his fit next to John Morant. I think he's really good on defense as well. I think he showed a lot of really good signs as a player who can actually control games for the Grizzlies when John Morant's not on the court, because they kind of need a guy to initiate the offense when John Morant's not out there. And I think that can be Moses Moody because he gives a little bit of signs of point guard vibes and shooting guard vibes. But my favorite thing about him is the fact that he is 6'6" with a 7'1" wingspan. That is absolutely insane. I think he's very versatile. I think you can play him at a couple different spots, and I think he spreads the floor really well. And I think that team just needs to keep adding shooting. So with the Grizzlies, I'm going to take Moses Moody out of Arkansas.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. I found myself watching a large amount of Arkansas games this past year. I'm not really sure why, but I watched a lot of him, and I love him. I thought he was an outstanding player, a good fit for the Grizzlies as well. I mean, researching a little bit, the Grizzlies are looking for a player exactly like Moses Moody. He's going to fit in really well. But just kind of overall arching point about this whole trade, I'm very intrigued to see what the Grizzlies do with this because they are a competitive team and they stuck pretty well with the Jazz in the playoffs. So I'm wondering who they're going to pick here because they might have a lot of options the way depending on how the draft plays out. So yeah, this is a very interesting pick.
I probably would go with Moody too, but it pains me to say it, but I think Wagner would also be a good fit for them. As much as I hate his dumb, stupid face, his dumb little chin beard.
Enough.
But I think he would fit well.
More facial hair.
Yeah, I don't
know. He's trying.
He's doing his best, I guess.
I don't know.
I think Moody's probably the right pick, though.
Yeah, I like Dylan. I like Dylan Brooks at the three. I feel like Dylan Brooks is a really good defender who can play the three. If you want to play him at the two, you can play two. I like Kyle Anderson. I just felt really confident about their wing situation right now. I think that Wagner would add to that, but I think their guards need a lot more help than their wings at this time. So that was kind of my reasoning for Moody over Wagner at that spot.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it'd be really interesting to see what happens with Kuminga too. Because he could have the potential to slip. I think he would slip right to the Grizzlies. And that'd be a really good fit for them. And they need a guy like that whose biggest problem was defense. And I don't think there's a better spot to be than Memphis if you're trying to cultivate an athlete that needs to work on his defense. I think he would actually flip into an elite defender.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. We're now looking at the Hornets. The Hornets were in the play-in tournament last year. They were pretty good. But they fell just short of making the playoffs in LaMelo's first season. Sean, who will you be adding to this Hornets team that might make them a playoff contender next year?
So the way the draft's shaken out, I think you have to take Franz from this pick. The Hornets they're hurting for a center. That's pretty apparent. There's been a lot of buzz about them going after a veteran, kind of like Miles Turner, Rashard Holmes, Nerlens Noel. So I think they might test the free agency market for that need. So in this position, I think you got to draft a guy like Wagner. I've watched him all year. I know this prospect better than anyone. He's got such a good feel for the game. Like defensively and specific, he just knows what to do on defense. He's always in the right position. He gets a hand on every ball. It's kind of incredible. I've never really seen anything like it. He has so many tips in the average game. It's unreal. He has great length, great wingspan. And yeah, I've shit on his shooting for a long time, but he has had spurts where he looks like he has a very competent jump shot, and he does hit a lot of 3-pointers in game. It was just that freaking UCLA shot that kind of messes up for me. But I think for the Hornets in their position, they're in a good spot. They have good guards with LaMelo. They have Miles Bridges. They have Scary Terry at the wing. I think adding a guy like this that could be pretty malleable. He can fit in with the lineup anywhere really. You can go small, you can go big with them. I think that'd be a great fit on the Hornets.
Yeah, I like it. I think last time we talked, I wanted Kai Jones just because of athleticism. I think that's kind of a stretch, but I just want to see LaMelo with as many athletes as possible. And Wagner, I mean, he's not a bad athlete.
I mean, he doesn't play above the rim, but he does he'll jump out of the gym occasionally. Doesn't kind of an unexpected thing, but he has some pretty cool dunks.
Yeah, I think with a player who gets injured as much as Gordon Hayward, especially, they need more wing depth because Miles Bridges is really good. I do like him for that team, but maybe not as many minutes as he was getting at the end of the season. I like him off the bench. I think he'll be a solid role player for a while, but I do like what Wagner gives you. I think he can play 3. I think he can play 4. I think he's versatile on defense, which the Hornets desperately need is more defense because Gordon Hayward's not a good defender. Miles Bridges is subpar. So, and PJ Washington is pretty lazy on defense as well. So you can go big and you can put Wagner next to PJ Washington. You can put Wagner next to Hayward or Bridges. And I like it either way. I think this team just needs to add more shooting. If they don't go center here, then I absolutely love the pick with more 3-point shooting. All right, Michael, let's hear your pick for the Spurs at 12.
This is going to blow your mind, guys, because I haven't talked about this guy at all, but it's going to be Keon Johnson out of Tennessee.
Wow.
And yeah, I know, right?
Jesus.
Super high ceiling. Spurs don't have a lot going on. And I think he could potentially be a all-star, maybe. I mean, if things turn around, he's super young, has a lot to work on. And yeah, Keon Johnson, everybody.
Mike, it feels
I think this is kind of the ideal landing spot.
Yeah, Mike, it feels like
Sorry, Jake. Go ahead.
It feels like you had to do a whole spiel on Keon Johnson before.
It almost feels like I'm exhausted about talking Keon Johnson.
It's almost like the Zoom died and I had to turn off my video so that I could even talk because of my college Wi-Fi is garbage. But I'll talk about Keon Johnson because I didn't get the chance to the first time you did the whole thing. So I really like Keon Johnson. I thought this Tennessee team was subpar at best, and he made them a pretty decent team. I really like what he can do. I think he's really elite with his shot making ability. He reminds me a little bit of Jaylen Brown and Devin Booker a little bit. Obviously not to the extent of Devin Booker's shot making ability, but I think he brings really good defense like Jaylen Brown. I think he's going to develop the longer he's in the NBA. I like the fit for him at the Spurs. I think that's a good place for him to get better. And I do think the Spurs absolutely need to blow this thing up. I think they've landed in the right outside the playoffs for the last couple of years. I think it's just going to take one good year of them being really, really bad. I think there's a chance that they could go big man, but I don't know. Maybe Jakob Poeltl is serviceable. I just think this team has a lot of really weird pieces. So I'm curious over the next couple of years what stays and what goes.
Yeah, I hate this pick.
Yeah, the Spurs are in no man's land. And when you're in no man's land, I would just draft the best player available if I was the GM. I don't really care about fit anymore. I don't care about my current roster. Give me the best athlete. Give me the best player with the highest upside in this spot. And I think that is Keon Johnson. So if I were the Spurs, this would 100% be my pick.
Okay, I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat on here for the 13th pick for the Pacers. This is my last pick. This is a guy who's been skyrocketing up draft boards, and this might be even a reach for him at 13. But I'm going Trey Murphy the third out of West Virginia. He has an absolutely killer stroke. He plays like a guard, even though he is a forward. He's been a guy who is unrecruited really early when he was a player at Rice, and then he finally got some love, got a chance at Virginia, and he played really, really well last year. I really like this fit for the Pacers. I feel like they need more wing depth. I think they're pretty set at guard. I like Brogdon. I like Levert. I like what some of the stuff they do off the bench. And then big man, they obviously have Turner and Sabonis. So why not add a nice small forward who can do a little bit of handling for you? I don't think TJ Warren's the answer there. He had that one good week. But besides that, I like Trey Murphy the third out of Virginia.
Yeah.
You go ahead, Mike. You can start.
Guy can drill it, can absolutely stroke it.
Mm-hmm.
He knows how to put it in the hole. He can handle. He's got it all.
God, you can't really ask for much more out of a player than their ability to stroke it nice and good. But for real, though, I actually do think this is a good pick. And he was actually going to be one of my sleepers when we were going to talk about that after our lottery picks. He's an intriguing prospect. I mean, I don't know how he's not getting more love. He's 6'9". He's a super good shooter. He's played for Virginia. He's a smart defender. He's going to know rotations. He's not going to be a liability out there on defense. I think the Pacers need someone like that. I also wouldn't hate Kispert here because I think he does all that same thing minus the length and I think better shooting numbers, but I could be wrong about that. But yeah, I don't really think you can go wrong here if you're the Pacers. Kispert or him would be a good selection.
Yeah, when looking at the tape,
I think,
Yeah, when looking at the tape, I really just like a guy who can stroke it by himself, can stroke it in someone's face, can do it with stroking at somebody to the side of them. Maybe somebody even has like their hand over there, and just love his ability to stroke it. And you know what they say about Virginia guys?
Yes.
Great D. And that's what I like about Trey Murphy.
I'm really glad we didn't run this joke in the ground. I think that was the perfect amount right there.
Yeah.
So just claps all around for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nothing like stroking a dead horse.
Love it.
Hitting it from all different angles.
God.
All right, Sean, make the final Warriors.
You think he can play in multiple? Wait. Do you think he can stroke it in different positions too?
I think he can stroke it from the
That's
corner.
That is the perfect transition to my next selection.
I think he can stroke it from the corner. I think he can stroke it from the top, and I think he can definitely hit it.
Go ahead. Get another one off.
All right.
Bingo.
Do the Warriors.
Bingo.
Glad you got another one off. Thank you. All right. So this is a guy I've actually talked about being selected for them at 7, and I think this is the perfect situation for the Warriors. Davion Mitchell, kind of a slider, probably the best prospect at this position, 100% the best prospect at this position. He gives the Warriors everything they need off the bench, and then more. He has experience. He's going to be a good ball handler off the bench. He's going to shoot well. Great defender, great speed. I think his only knock, again, I hate this with players, and we've seen it been proven false, is that he's old. That's his only knock, and that's why he's going to probably fall in the draft tomorrow night. I don't know. I still don't really care about age like that in the NBA. So, yeah, I would take Davion Mitchell.
I think the Warriors are going to be super good next year anyway when Clay comes back. So I don't think age is going to be a problem. Like, they're going to actually want somebody who can actually come in big games in the playoffs and hit shots and make plays. So I think Davion Mitchell's the only pick here.
Yeah, I just love the way he plays. I mean, every time I watched him this year, he looked head and shoulders better than he was playing against. And it even looked like that against Gonzaga, who was undefeated, #1 team, best team all season. And he just kind of showed them up. He embarrassed Suggs on a couple plays. I thought he was a great player. I think he was the best player in that game. So I think the Warriors would be very grateful to get a player like this at 14.
Yeah, I went forward with them earlier in the draft, so if I would have had the chance to take that pick, I would have gone guard as well. I like Davion Mitchell there. I think he contributes right away for a team that's going to be really good and trying to win. Yeah, I think it's a knock out of the park. I think they needed a guard to come off the bench. I don't think that backup point guard is going to be Nico Mannion. So, I really, really like Davion Mitchell next to a Jordan Poole and Scottie Barnes off the bench. I think that's and Eric Pascal. I think that's a really, really good start to your bench.
Yep.
I still believe in Nico Manning. All right, I'm done.
All right, now we're
I'll say that.
transitioning to the one player that we're intrigued about outside of the lottery. So if you want to pick a team and then give a selection, you can. Or if you just want to talk about a player that you really like that's outside of the lottery that we didn't pick, we can go ahead and do that as well. So, Michael, who's the player that you're intrigued by?
I think it's probably Jalen Johnson from Duke. All-time weirdo. You don't know how you really quit on your team like that, like he did. Obviously, Duke was kind of a sinking ship, but I think like the guy came into college as a great prospect, and now he's going to fall to something. He could potentially fall into like the back half of the draft from being like a top like 7 pick at the start of the year. So I think based on talent, I'm gonna go with him. I don't know. I think any team in this back. Yeah. I don't really have a team specifically. I'm intrigued by him.
Yeah, I mean, he was getting such a buzz before the draft, like the beginning of the NCAA year. Like he was getting buzzed like top 5, top 10, I remember. He's one of the most, like you said, intriguing players. But just that quitting part, that's just not attractive to the NBA teams. And that's like one of the biggest red flags. Like usually you find out like later when they first start their first couple of years in the NBA, they don't love basketball. And that's when teams know like to jump ship on a player and that they know he's not going to work out. And if he's already showing that in his first year of college, I mean, that's just going to turn off a lot of teams. But the talent's there. Like, you're not wrong about the talent. But, yeah, he's a tough one to select.
I was thinking like maybe if he went to a team that had like a guy who could put him in his place, but there's not really – I'm not seeing anywhere later in the draft that has a guy like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have my big fear is he goes to a team like the Pelicans where some guys on that team already have an effort issue. I think you're 100% right. I think he needs a really good core guys around him to just help him find his way. I really do like Jalen Johnson. He was one of the top prospects coming out of high school. And like you said, he just quit on his team at Duke. And I think that's one of the biggest turnoffs. And he didn't really even play that well when he did play too. I know it was a weird year and everything, but all signs are pointing to Jalen Johnson going closer to 20 than he is going to 10. So I like Jalen Johnson for the right fit. But if I'm a team like the Thunder, who are picking in 16 and 18, like the Wizards, even the Pelicans, I'm staying away from a guy like that who already has issues with effort when you just want guys who are going to come in and either try really hard or really grow as a player, especially in a losing environment. We saw him at Duke in a losing environment and he quit. So how would he even do on a team like the Thunder?
Well, I was thinking, I don't think the Warriors would ever do this because they already have a guy like that in Wiseman. But I mean, I can't imagine that being on a team with Steph Curry and Draymond Green would be bad for this guy. I don't think there's any way the Warriors do that, but I don't know. That's just my thought.
All right, Sean, do you want to tell a player that you're intrigued by in this year's draft?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to go with Cam Thomas at LSU. I think he's a top 10 talent in my opinion. Like just his ability to shoot the ball, his ball handling. He's just a bucket getter. He reminds me somewhat of like a Kyrie. I mean, not Kyrie. No one's Kyrie, but like he gets buckets like Kyrie. He just knows what to do with the ball when he gets it. He looks very comfortable. Maybe like a CJ McCollum. That's probably a better comparison. That you can hand him the ball, he's going to get you a bucket at almost any time. He cooked Michigan in that one tournament game, and I was blown away by him. I was like, who is this guy? I didn't know anything about him before that game. And then after that, I kind of fell in love with him the more stuff that I watched. He's a good 3-point shooter, good free throw shooter. His only knock is he doesn't really pass, and the ball kind of stops when it hits him. So that's why he's not given really any like lottery love. He's probably gonna go outside the lottery somewhere. But I think if he can fall to like a contending team, like somewhat of a playoff team, he's immediately going to improve their bench. And yeah, I just really like Cam Johnson.
Yeah, this was the guy that I was going to talk about was Cam Johnson. I really liked him. I've watched him on LSU now for I believe I think this is his second season, or maybe he was a rookie this year. It might have just been this year. Either or. I do like Cam Thomas's ability to shoot the ball. I was going to say that I really liked him falling to the Lakers. That was kind of going to be my thing, is I liked Cam Thomas's fit for the Lakers there. If he falls to 22 in a lot of the mock drafts, I see him going around that area. I think he can be a really good contributor to a team like the Clippers, the Nuggets, the Lakers, the later end of the draft. Like, I think he can come in and shoot the lights out. If he's just a catch and shoot guy, which is more of the NBA game than the college game, then I think he can be really productive and a great NBA pro.
I would love to see him on the Pelicans.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Pick. He would be a perfect bench piece for them, especially when they get stale on offense. Like, they need a bucket getter like him. So that would
Maybe
be my
the
fit
Knicks
for him.
too.
Yeah, that'd be a really good spot.
Yeah, if
I don't know if kids would like him though.
Yeah, I don't think he would, but transitioning to the Pelicans, the guy I'm actually going to talk about, I've been doing my own little mock drafts like Sean. This is a guy that I have going to the Pelicans in a lot of the mock drafts, especially after this Eric Bledsoe trade. I'm going to do Chris Duarte out of Oregon. He's a 24-year-old. He's a little bit older, which is kind of going against the Pelicans, what they have been doing. They have a lot of young guys on their team. I like a guy who can come in and give you experience. I think he's one of the best three-point shooters in the draft, except for maybe Corey Kispert. But I think this team needs more of a shooting guard than a small forward at the time. So I like Chris Duarte to step in immediately and probably be a starter on that team. And I think he's NBA ready day one. And the Pelicans need a guy who can come in right away and give you a winning mentality, and a guy who is a seasoned veteran. They don't have time to wait around and wait for a guy to develop. They need to win sooner than later, because this Zion contract is coming up. And I don't think Zion wants to sit there and lose.
I love that pick for the Pelicans. He shot 42% from three, and he averaged 2 steals a game. He's 6'6". The Pelicans are going to be pretty solid if they make that one. I like that a lot.
He literally just solves both of their issues and their needs with one player, like defense and shooting. That's exactly what they need. So, yeah, I love that. And I love him. He's a good player. I've watched him play at Oregon a lot, and he steps up in big games. He's like a hard-nosed dude. I would like him there a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that will kind of end it this episode of the Moving Forward podcast. We talked about a lot. So thank you everyone for listening. As always, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or the YouTube version, where you can see basically my internet cut out halfway through, and you can see that there. That's under Loth 11. We'll be doing a reaction to this draft probably after the weekend, once we have some time to sit in. But I believe that I will be doing a live reaction to the draft that I'll be posting either Friday or late Thursday night, probably only the first round, or when Aaron Henry finally gets picked. I'll also react to that, because I'm excited to see him go, if he even goes in this draft. So I've seen him fall out of the lottery, or fall out of the draft a couple of times. So I'm nervous for him.
Yeah, wow. What NBA teams would be graced for this presence?
Okay, shut. He single-handedly beat Michigan that second game this season. So he's a pretty good player.
Yeah, wow, he's awesome.
It's no Johnny Juzang.
Ooh. All right, that will end it. We're a lot of sour grapes on this podcast, but like I said, catch us on any theory you listen to podcast. This has been a pretty scratched episode, so thank you everybody for listening. Looking forward to the NBA draft and hoping the Pistons draft Cade Cunningham #1 overall. Peace.